Radio Cobalt!
Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of Radio Cobalt. Now, once again, I am joined by the 2 developers from Oxeye Game Studios. They are
Pontus Hammarberg
and Daniel Brunolf.
Now, these guys are developing Cobalt, a Mojang published game which is coming to PC, Mac, Xbox 360 and PS3 sometime this year. So, let's talk about some of the modes that will come along with Cobalt when it gets released.
All right, let's start from the menu actually and go that way. When you load up the game, you will be presented with 2 options after you press play. Basically, it's story and arcade, and we'll go into story a bit later. But let's start on the arcade front. So within the arcade game modes, you can choose to either play multiplayer games against each other or together cooperatively. The multiplayer games are called Deathmatch, Team Strike, Capture the Plug, and Survival. And within the arcade genre, if I may say so, you also have the challenges, which is Speed, Puzzle, and Combat. So those are the basic arcade game modes that we have right now.
So these are the kind of modes that you can kind of sit together on the couch, grab a couple of controllers, and you can play with your friends. Or I guess for the challenges, that's a kind of more leaderboard focused kind of single player thing, is it?
Yeah, definitely. The challenges is a single player thing, and that's basically you trying to beat the score on the leaderboard, or in some cases just beat the maps because they're pretty hardcore, some of them. And the other modes are more of the party, sitting together with a couple of friends in a couch and playing together. Let's start with Deathmatch, because I think that's the first mode that we added. It's basically just we when we started experimenting with multiplayer, we added the possibility to kill each other and to be on the same screen. And Deathmatch originally was a sort of Quake-style deathmatch. You ran around, picked up pickups, and tried to get the highest score. Or actually, in that case, I think we had a score limit, and you were supposed to reach the score limit.
Yeah, it's still the case, though.
It's still the case.
But it's a little bit different.
It's a little bit different. It's good we complement each other. I like that. Instead of the pickups now, we have a more random system of pickups. So you sort of go through the game, all the pickups that are in the game, if you choose to play that mode, which is quite nice because Cobalt right now has how many weapons?
I don't know, 40, 50, 30.
On top of that, we have melee. I never know how to pronounce that.
30.
Weapons.
35?
And grenades. So you have a lot of stuff that you can go through, and it makes it quite chaotic, but in an
orderly fashion.
Orderly fashion.
What's your favorite weapon to be implemented so far, Pontus?
Wow, my favorite weapon, it's the Matter Blaster. Ask me why.
Why is the Matter Blaster so hot right now?
It's so hot because it's based off of the Blade Runner blaster. Blade Runner is one of my favorite movies, and I love that gun. I feel like Rick Deckard when I run around with the Matter Blaster.
Basically, when we designed the performance of the gun, we looked at that scene from Blade Runner, like how it's like,
shooting,
and then we sort of mapped the bullet spread to that, sort of, so it should feel equally.
It feels like Blade Runner, definitely.
Nice. Daniel, what's your favorite weapon?
I'd probably have to say the Slugger revolver with the double extended barrel upgrades.
Nice.
That is my favorite.
It's been tweaked a lot since the version that's currently out. So
yeah,
it's beautiful now.
Yeah, in the version 1.2.3, it's basically fantastic. It feels like Dirty Harry on 2D. I don't know how to explain it.
Steroids.
In 2D steroids. It's something, I don't know, it's very satisfactory.
Sweet. So deathmatch. That sounds awesome. So what else have we got to offer?
Let's talk about Team Strike because that's a completely new game mode that we added now, and that's basically been the basis for the change in all the other game modes. And
it sort of revitalized our efforts in realizing that we could probably improve all game modes.
Yeah, Team Strike basically comes from our passion to Counter-Strike.
Yes. And Counter-Strike, for those familiar with it, is a game where you play in 2 teams, round-based, and when you die, you die. And when your team wins a round, you get money, and then you buy equipment for next round. And those are the main points that we have let ourselves be inspired by for Team Strike.
It becomes quite heated when you sit in the same couch and play against each other. It's quite fun. Even one-on-one, it's really nice. One-on-one with bots.
Yeah, I also forgot to mention that you usually play with full teams always, even if you're only 2 humans, and then you take over the bots as you die. So you're always in the middle of the action, no matter how fast you die, basically.
Yeah.
I think one of the things about Team Strike which struck me is it like deathmatch is kind of, you can still kind of win if you're the best at Cobalt playing deathmatch, but I think Team Strike you can actually execute some cool strategies on the map. You can actually kind of work as a team and kind of coordinate even your upgrades between rounds and kind of use that to your advantage, which feels super cool because
it's a concentrated form of action. You know, it's planning and then action.
Yeah.
It has nice pacing as well, since the tempo changes a lot. It's intense first, and then a couple of them die, and then it gets more slow and tactical, and then it goes down to maybe a duel or 4 versus 1 or some interesting constellation of. Yeah.
And it's also cool that you can actually be a sniper and kind of sit back and pick off people. Even though it's a 2D game, the kind of camera always keeps everyone on the screen at one time, but you can actually play that passive role, or you can play something where you kind of run in, guns blazing, and kind of pull off loads of crazy kills.
Yeah. Also, since you get to pick which character you want to be, I've seen when we were playing in the Mojang office, people would really latch on to a specific type of character, and then they would just always play as that one. Like there's always one person running around as the scouter, phaser jumping and tossing clonks and everybody, and it sort of adds personality to the whole deathmatch.
It does.
Cool, awesome. What else have we got to offer then in versus multiplayer?
Versus we have CTP, Capture the Plug, which is a mode that we haven't done that much to since the previous versions. What it is, for those who haven't played it, it's basically a Cobalt version of Capture the Flag. So you have 2 teams, and the goal is to capture a plug.
Yeah, a power plug.
A power plug. Oh. And from the opposing team, and bring it to your home base.
Yeah,
basically.
I guess the unique twist is that you can throw the plug, which you usually can't do with the
sort
flag.
Of like basketball.
Yeah, so it adds some sort of basketball/American football elements to the whole thing.
Yeah,
and you can also like shoot on the plug so that it flies away, or toss grenades on it and stuff like that.
Have we got any other modes in versus multiplayer?
Not versus, but collaborative. We have Survival, which is also quite fun to play by yourself. Survival was a game mode that we added when we needed something to play by your own, but we sort of rushed it out. I would say. I mean, it wasn't really thought out. So the version that we have right now is more a round also or wave based game mode, sort of like a tower defense game almost, where you get presented with enemy waves, and in between the waves you can upgrade your character and repair the character, do whatever to face the next round of waves.
Yeah. Basically, before we had reused a lot of the more single-player story-focused assets, or like shops and stuff, but they didn't really work very well when you had more than one player playing it together, because the GUIs would get all clumped up and it would be hard to get the good tempo.
Also, there in classic Oxeye Spirit, there was no end to it. So
Yeah.
basically the end was you dying, and then you got a high score.
Yeah.
But now there's an end to each map.
Yeah. A designed set of wave challenges which ends in a high score.
Yeah.
Nice. I do like that kind of the way that you split it up. I think it adds more strategy to it, and it kind of there's more moments of tension as well.
Yeah,
you-
definitely.
like, are we going to reach the end of this round? Kind of feel.
Also, before when you died like permanently. You were dead and it was over.
Yeah.
But now if you lose a round, you can continue and retry that wave again. Which we saw during Minecon was very popular because people would like successfully beat 2-3 waves and then they would get stuck on wave 4 for 1.5 hours and just retry it and retry it and retry it and retry it and sit and scream, and then they eventually would beat it. And it sort of that would never have worked in the old mode because they would have had to replay the 4 first waves endless times. It wouldn't have been fun.
And as we talked about before, Cobalt is unforgiving, but it's fun to die, so it doesn't really matter. People sit for literally hours and try to beat the wave that they're currently on, so it's quite fun.
I think one of the things I really liked about it, it kind of shows off the way you've got so many different kinds of enemies and different weapons, like the ways different objects interact with each other in the survival mode, because the number of enemies on screen ramps up. So, you know, you really see these mad little procedural kind of things happening, like a hamster will explode and push a mushroom dude down a little well or something, and then you can kind of pick him off at the end of the match, that kind of cool stuff. And it all feels quite dynamic and nice. Cool. So, one last thing. Are there going to be achievements in the game? Out of interest.
Yes, there are. But out of popular opinion, I've added a option in settings where you can disable the achievements. If you
You'll get an achievement for doing that.
I can just say that if you put it on, well, it is coming to 360 and PS3, and no one will disable the achievements.
No, I know.
It's a requirement actually to have those trophies and achievements.
Yeah.
I understand both sides of the achievement debate. I understand that people like them and I understand people that don't like them. That's why I want to implement them, but I don't want them to be forced on people.
Yeah.
So I see them as a tool for good and an optional one at that.
Optional spice.
Nice. Well, thanks a lot. I think that kind of wraps it up for episode 2 of Radio Cobalt. But again, thank you for joining me, guys.
Thank you, Owen.
Aren't you going to ask about an achievement?
What, an achievement?
Yeah, like an example.
Please give me an example of an achievement, Daniel.
Well, Pontus, maybe?
You can go ahead. What's the I come from a land down under one?
Oh yeah, that's the one you throw a boomerang and then you boost the boomerang with the force device and then you score a kill with that boomerang.
Can you think of a more exotic achievement, Pontus?
More exotic achievements. That's a hard one.
Well, I like the one kill 10 enemies without ever touching the ground. It's because I sort of can imagine in my head how that would be possible. Just, face jumping around. But I don't think I've ever managed to do it.
The Is It a Bird achievement?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, I kind of like the ones where you're supposed to roll and punch someone in the head while rolling, not touching the ground.
In the air, yeah.
I like that one.
Haven't gotten it yet.
I have.
You did?
Yeah.
Good job.
Of course.
Daniel, for a man who wasn't that keen on achievements, you seem awfully keen on achievements.
Oh, I'm giddy.
Okay, thanks, guys. And
Thank
yes,
you.
we will see you in the next episode of Radio Cobalt. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.